All right, all right. Aloha kakahiaka, everyone. Good to see you all. I'm Peter Kay, and today is August 5th, 2022. It is 9 o'clock Hawaii time, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. And we got that. This is so much. It's so fun. It's so cool. I'm here with my good friends. Today with us, we have Heidi Dollinger, who is visiting us, who is in Maui, and we have Dylan Nonaka, who's on the Big On. Our friend Scott Startsman, from Oahu is on a trip today, so he could not make it. Scott, you will be missed for sure. It's so funny, y'all. It was just wonderful. I got to tell you, it's so fun to kind of see everybody. Let me get this right over here. Everybody's on who jumped on, saying hello to us first. We're warming up our mics. This is the pregame show. If you're watching this on a recorded basis, you could scroll forward about 5 minutes or so, but then you would miss out on the fun. You'd miss out on the fact that Kev was up first. Who's waiting with me? Kev, God bless you. He was hanging out there for actually 45 minutes ago. It was great. It's hilarious. Love it. Joan, Auntie Joan is with us. Joan, welcome. Joan is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Joan, great to have you. Aloha, everyone. Looking forward to another great show. So am I. Hope we could deliver, Joan. Hope we could deliver. Kev, Jim, Uncle Jim, aloha kakahiaka. I think the voice translation went a little bit haywire there, Uncle Jim, but I know what you're trying to say. Aloha, everyone. Aloha Friday. Chris Longley is with us. Happy Aloha Friday. Happy to you, Chris. Thanks for being with us. And Uncle Jim, glad that you're here. All right. Let's warm up the mics a little bit. Dylan, warm up that mic. How's it going? What's the shirt? What's the background? How's it hanging?
I gotta turn on the mic first. There we go. How's that
There you go.
sound?
Yeah, sounds great.
Right on. Yeah, I got my Ren Spooner on today. I broke this one out. It's been a while. So just a classic Hawaii shirt. So you gotta always have one of those in your closet. I got a few. So breaking it out. Just a beautiful day over here in Kona. It's been, perfect like always, pretty much. I mean, you can go anywhere else in the world. I was on a trip last week, and although it was beautiful and the weather was great, I mean, it's still sometimes can be chilly in the summer, and I can't imagine that. So yeah, just grateful and blessed. Beautiful day over here.
Well, your beautiful day is along with Candace Caswell. Welcome, Candace, who's having a beautiful day in Molalla, if I got that right, Molalla, Oregon. Beautiful day here in Oregon. Oregon has a very special place in my heart because we went there to witness the full solar eclipse, and that was amazing. Had a great time. Pat McKenna is here with us. Aloha from June about 1 month ago. Care to make any kind of an announcement, Patrick? Fill us in on what you're kind of saying over there. I'll let you be the one to put that out there. And Auntie Judy is back with us. Judy, welcome. Aloha, everyone. Judy, great to have you back. Judy is also an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Michelle Cook is with us. Aloha from Makaha Valley. All right, nice background there, Michelle. That looks like the Eddie Aikau thing. If I'm not Eddie Aikau, that Duke Kahanamoku statue. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like that's behind you. Heidi, warm up the microphone. What's the coffee? How's Maui? What's happening?
Well, aloha, everybody. Good morning. I'm drinking the very, very best kind of coffee today, and that's the kind of coffee that someone you love goes and gets for you when you're still sleeping and brings it to you. So I feel very, very blessed. I don't even know what kind it is, but I was just so thrilled. There was coffee waiting for me when I woke up this morning.
It doesn't matter what kind of coffee it is, Heidi. It doesn't matter. It's the pre-made with love kind of coffee. That's the best kind of coffee at all. Yeah, excellent. You're to get everybody up to speed. You're engaged to be married. What's the date, Heidi? What's the date?
February 2nd, 2023. So next year.
February
Yeah.
2nd, 2023. Wow. Wow, it's coming right along. I want to hear about all. We're looking forward to kind of hearing about that as it comes up to us. And Patrick is filling us in. The condo building that Scott showed 2 weeks ago was where we closed on July 15th. Very excited. I'm sorry that Scott's not here, but Scott, if you're going to be watching, we are celebrating today. Everybody, Patrick. Who is moving to Oahu. He closed on July 15th. Congratulations, Patrick. That's totally awesome. That has got to be, there is nothing beats getting a one-way ticket to Hawaii, man. That's the best ticket you could ever possibly get is the one-way ticket to Hawaii. Barbara, welcome back. Aloha from, I'm going to blow that pronunciation. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 20 miles east of Spokane. Hope I got that right. Please correct me if you can. Barbara, welcome. Kinaya, welcome back, Kinaya. Kinaya is one of the original alumni of the Islander Ohana. Aloha from Earth's core. Aloha from Earth Core, checking in from Austin. What's the temperature out there, Kinaya? I'm sure it's hot. Tom is back. Tom, it's been away. It's been a few weeks you've been away. Welcome back, Tom. Good to have you, Tom. Everyone is from the UK, if I'm not mistaken, Tom. And Mark is back. Aloha, everyone. Mark, you still got the best avatar, man. The South Park avatar. It's just the best. Mark Whitehill is back with us, also an alumni of the Islander Ohana, as is Auntie Joyce. Auntie Joyce, good morning, all. I know it's Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show when I see Auntie Joyce, because you have been a rock of the show, and I thank you for that so much. People like you and Jim and Joan. Jackie is also with us. Excellent. Aloha from Kapolei. Jackie is also an alumni of the Honor Hunt. Jackie, we're so glad that you're here with us. Excellent, everybody. Well, okay, let's get this party started here. Let's get I got some news wound up, and let's kind of get into that. So the first one, gang, is that there's a story here that the rent is too damn high, and I don't know if you all remember this.
You said it. The rent is too damn high.
Yeah, it's the same here in Hawaii too. The rent is too damn high. Looks like Honolulu is now the third most expensive place to rent in the country. According to new data from an online firm, only Napa and Silicon Valley in California, only Napa and Silicon Valley in California have higher rents. Median rent for the 2-bedroom. Y'all want to take a guess? Why don't you all take a guess? Why don't you throw this in the comment? What's the trivia question is, what is the median rent for a 2-bedroom condo in Honolulu? Median. Half is half or more, half or less. What's the median rent for a 2-bedroom unit in Honolulu? Throw that in the comments, and let's see who comes in. And Don, excellent. Don is with us. Don emailed. Don, pop that question back. I think I got it ready for you. Pop that question that you sent us. We're glad that you're here. Excellent. And so we got it. Okay, the bids are all coming in. So while those bids are coming in, I'm going to kind of go on with the news here. Thurston Lava Tube. Dylan, did you know the Thurston Lava Tube has closed? Thurston Lava Tube is has been for ages a major tourist attraction on the Big Island. It's a giant lava tube that you walk through. It's lit, and it makes it kind of easy to walk, and it's humongous. I remember going with my daughters on field trips. Of course, we went there as visitors, etc., etc. That thing is closed until further notice. There is detected a slight movement in a crack in the tube ceiling, so they're playing it safe. That's a good thing. Be curious, Dylan, if you have any kind of details on that you want to share. And if you're visiting on Oahu, it's BYOTP. Bring your own toilet paper. That's right, because Honolulu officials have warned that they some bathrooms may be out of toilet paper. Apparently, I don't have the details, folks. All I know is what's been reported. City's departments of Parks and Recreation have been saying that there's a shortage in industrial toilet paper rolls. I don't know if it's due to the pandemic. I don't know if it's due to the shortage or inflation or due to some person in the office who forgot to place the order. Don't know, but BYOTP. Be aware of that. The Japanese are coming. Japanese visitors. Now, we've told you folks a long time ago that that is going to be just a matter of time before the Japanese visitors return. Looks like they have started. In fact, in Kona, if I'm not mistaken, the Kona airport welcomed its first Japan Airlines flight on August 2nd. So there it is beginning. Now, what's going to be the effect? God only knows, but certainly Japanese buyers can now come back into the real estate market. So I would think that if anything, there may be an effect on real estate. We're going to have to find out. It's probably too early. And finally, our favorite, one of my favorite islands, Maui, is counting cats. Here's another trivia question for you. So the Maui Society plans to implement an island-wide community cat count this month to better understand and manage the cat population. How many cats were stated that have been counted so far in Maui? That's the trivia question, Greg. How many cats in Maui? Give me the cat count in Maui. All right. That's it for today. Let's get back to our friends over here. Why don't we start? Let's go counterclockwise. Let's go with Heidi. Let's do this. Let's go right to left on my screen here. Right to left, Heidi, then Dylan. for the update. So Heidi, what's going on in Maui? Maui market update, Maui real estate update. I think Don, if I'm not mistaken, Don is interested. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that. But what's the market like in Maui, or what news do you have for us in Maui, Heidi?
Well, I love your news updates, Peter. As far as I know, we have plenty of toilet paper over here. So if you're looking for that, just skip Oahu, come straight to Maui.
There you go.
And yeah, the cat thing is interesting too. I was out walking by the beach in front of one of the resorts, and they have these little cat houses. And next to one of the little cat houses was a business card. And I thought, this cat has a business card? I have to go check this out. And there's actually a non-for-profit called Christie's Catitude. And they have this network of people that volunteer and keep track of cats in different areas and make sure they're neutered and spayed and healthy. And anyway, pretty fascinating. But I'm sure you want to hear about the real estate market. I do have some statistics. Our July statistics are out. So I'll break it up into single family and then condominium. So for single family homes year to date, our pending under contract sales are down 28.9%. New listings are down 12%. Median prices are up 18.7%. And this is year to date 2021 versus year to date 2022. For condominiums, pending under contract are down 38.2%. New listings are down 11.6%, and median prices are up 19.7%. And that's for condominiums on Maui, comparing 2021 to 2022 year to date. For all properties on Maui, inventory is down, but just 2.7%. And this is just compared to last year. So basically, I mean, we're really moving from a time, 2021 was really a time of real estate mania. I mean, record-breaking high number of sales, and we're kind of adjusting into a more strong but good market, but without some of that mania. So it is a little bit better time for buyers than it has been. And of course, the more negative economic news, I mean, the better for buyers in a way, because it changes people's outlook. As far as the boots on the ground, you know, my perspective of being a realtor is last year at this time, almost all my transactions were delayed. I mean, sometimes 60 days was not even enough to close a transaction because there was such a high volume of business happening, lenders, appraisers, title and escrow. I mean, almost every transaction I had was delayed a week or two, just completely out of anybody's control. This year, right now, I have multiple transactions that are closing early. I mean, closing a couple weeks early. People are saying, well, everything's done. Shall we just close? So I've had a few transactions closing early. I mean, it's just because the volume's down a little bit and people are caught up. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Heidi. You know that. Well, I mean, you mentioned. I think it's quite telling, right? You said that the volume was down something like 28%, or some kind of a number like that, and that, you know, that 28% makes the difference between waiting for 3 weeks for a transaction to close and having it close early. Great insight. Thanks. Excellent, Heidi. We're going to go to Dylan, and you know, before we go to Dylan, I just wanted to give the shout out to Don. Don, yes, Dan, thanks, Don. I pulled up your email. So Don, meet Dylan. Dylan, meet Don. Don is looking for. He said Honoka'a stuff on the Big Island, Honoka'a and Kohala area. So Don, Dylan's the man. He's our Big Island expert, and Dylan wants you kind of, and I'll connect the two of you together, of course. But Dylan, give us the update. What's going on the Big Island? And what about the Thurston lava tube? Could you believe it? The Thurston lava tube is closed. I was like shocked when I read about that.
Yeah, it seems like with the Volcanoes National Park, there's always attractions opening and closing because obviously it's on a live volcano. So there's always things shifting around and moving around. So hopefully it's not forever. It is one of my favorite attractions there. in the park. I mean, especially for kids, it's mind blowing. You walk down these stairs into this humongous cave that has 20-foot high ceilings, and the lights are there, and it's almost like going to another planet or back in time or something like that. So it's a really cool experience. So hopefully they can get that figured out and stabilized, and then they can reopen it. So we'll see. But on the real estate side, I talked about this briefly last show. We were on track to close a really low number of properties on the Big Island, and now that the month of July has fully passed and we look back at the numbers, it's definitely the case. The number of sales that are happening are way down. And if we look at the single family home market and just compare it to last month and then last year, so on the total, on the whole Big Island, there was 181 homes that sold. Last month there was 253, and then last year there was 261. So compared to last year, we're down like 30% in terms of the number of homes that are selling. And for many months previous, when we would have a drop in the number of units, we were attributing that to the low inventory, right? There just wasn't anything to buy anymore. And that's no longer the case. We are back up to about 2,000 properties for sale across the whole island, which we were down to like 1,400 for many, many months there in 2021. So inventory is rising. And then in certain markets, like in the Kona market where I'm at, there was only 26 homes that sold in the month of July. Last month, there was 44. Last year, there was 58. So we're talking about a 50% drop, like half the number of homes that sold last year sold this July. So there's definitely a huge pullback from the buyer demand that we've been seeing. We're seeing lots of really great homes go on the market at a fair price, and then we're just not getting any offers, or we might get 1, 3, or 4 weeks into it. So we're still, property is still moving. It's still a good time to be a seller. You just have to be reasonable on price, and we're back to a normal kind of market where you get to negotiate a little bit on price. You get to do your inspections. You don't have to put an appraisal waiver in. So I've been just saying over and over again, I think there's a window here. So my prediction is I think there's probably a 5 or 6 month window. I think when the election happens, depending on what happens with the election, the stock market may come back and the economy may turn around and things will start moving forward again. So I think there's a window of opportunity, especially on the buyer side, where you can get in and get a pretty good deal, get a very reasonable terms for a property, and have some opportunity to shop. It's funny, I just got one of our listings, we got a request to see it tomorrow a couple days ago, so people aren't trying to get in like that very next day. They're scheduling their showings 3 or 4 days out, which I haven't had happen in like 2 years, right? I mean, it's like, as soon as you want to see something, you better go that minute or it's going to be off the market. And then they just rescheduled for Wednesday next week. So there's like no urgency, right? They're like, can't make it this weekend. Maybe they want to go to the beach or whatever, and they're going to reschedule for Wednesday next week. So very interesting times. It is a welcome break. I talked to all of my partners in the industry, in the lending industry, and the escrow industry, and it's definitely, everybody's feeling the slowdown, but they almost, it's all about mindset, right? And a lot of them feel like it's a blessing because it was so bananas for so long that going back to just normal levels of business is probably a welcome new season.
Interesting. So I'm catching from both of you. I wish Scott was here. I'm sure he would concur. It seemed that sort of things are not the crazy time is sort of coming to a close. The crazy time is coming to a close, and it's become more of a somewhat of a stable piece. Although again, that doesn't, as we had countless graphs earlier, and the numbers are showing it, do not expect a market crash on the prices. That's not happening. Heidi, you mentioned prices are up 18% over last year. Dylan, go ahead.
Yeah, and if you look at just the data on its face, right, there's a clear measure of what a buyer's and a seller's market is. And although buyers are in a position right now to have a better opportunity to buy, it's definitely not a buyer's market. We're still very low, 1 or 2 months of inventory. You need to get to like 6 months of inventory before it's a stable market, a balanced market. And then above 6 months, it becomes a buyer's market. So we're still in a very low inventory environment compared to the past. But just because of the apprehension, I think in the buyer demand right now, there's an opportunity to get in and shop around, take your time, be deliberate, and you get a pretty good deal. And if you're seeing price reductions, that's one thing, people are saying, I'm seeing all kinds of price reductions. If you look at those and you really dive deep and analyze it, it's more due to the fact that those properties were grossly overpriced to begin with, right? So the stuff that's selling is still selling at pretty much what it's worth, and it's probably, if you've compared it to what it was worth a year ago, it's going to be significantly higher. But if you price your property 20% over what it was worth and it didn't sell, and now you got to come back down 10%, 15%, and finally get to where it is, you're going to see those price reductions in the market. It doesn't necessarily mean prices are falling. It just means that they were inflated to begin with, and sellers are still in that kind of mindset from 6 months ago that they can do that, and you just really can't anymore.
Right. The days of the insane prices are over, and those that have the insane prices are coming back to earth. So again, all indications are that sort of not crazy. The banana period has come to a close. Hey, Don had a quick question for you. What's the median or average price? Do you have any kind of stats on that on the Big Island?
I don't like to use that because it's so different in every market. I mean, median price in Kona is $1 million, but then median price in Hilo is $450, right? So I mean, if you do median price across the whole island, it's like $575 or something. But it really varies depending on which market you're looking at.
It's not going to give you a good answer.
No, it's not a good measure. I mean, you really got to zero in on where you're looking. And again, that's what we can help with, right? Is if you have a specific area you're looking in, we can kind of get, and even in like the rural areas, it's a hard measure because you have little tiny shacks on rural land that may sell for 300,000, or less. But then you have, nice homes on a bigger piece of property that'll sell for $1 million. So when you use an average, it really depends on what exactly you're looking for to figure out what the best value is.
Don, if you want to pop in and give us an idea of that, Don had mentioned in his email, Honoka'a and Kohala. Do you have a sense of
that's one of those really, really diverse markets where you have, really low end stuff that is affordable. And then you have multi-million-dollar ranches and estates in those same areas. So the median is kind of irrelevant in terms of, you really got to look at what specifically are you looking for.
You got to get on into details. Asking for an average is not going to give you the answer. And he gets it. Got it. Kona is high. Yes. And, thanks, Judy. Judy put in a plug for Dylan. Judy, who's worked with Dylan as well. Hey, Don, you'll be so happy if you decide to work with Dylan. Thank you, Judy. God bless.
My number one cheerleader.
That's it, man. You guys are the best. I don't know about her and Auntie Joyce. Auntie Joyce is family, right?
They're co-chairs of the fan club, I think.
There you go. Yeah, actually, excellent. And Don has friends there. Excellent, great. Hey, so let's follow through here on the. I know you're all dying to know what the cat population. It's kind of interesting, gang. You're all way off on the cats. So we had Auntie Joan said 900. Jeff had 10,000. Let's see. Don put in a 5,500. Let's see who else. I think that was the range. Okay, you ready for this, gang? I was kind of shocked. Heidi, do you have a number? Just a wild guess. How many feral cats on Maui? Wild number.
I have no idea.
I would say like 250,000.
250,000. Okay, all right, there you go. Okay.
I don't think there's that many. 40,000 cats. 40,000 cats. Does that number strike you, gang? Our audience, does that number strike you as a high number, or is that a low number? What do you think about that on the cats? 40,000 cats so far has been the count. And on the let's follow up here on the rent question. We had a couple. We had a few. There were a little bit. Let's see, Michelle at 2,200, Jackie at 28, Auntie Joyce 2,500, TI 3,000 rent. Not sure what that means. Patrick 23, Judy at 2. Don 32. Look at that. We got, it should be more specific. 2,750. There you go. 2,750. Joan at 3,700. Okay, so there you go. So those are that was the range. I believe I caught everybody on the rent. Yeah. So the answer to the rent question is $2,500. $2,500 is the median price for a 2-bedroom unit, renting for a 2-bedroom unit on Oahu. Median price means half of the units are going for less than $2,500, half of the units are going for more than $2,500. So that's what we got. All right, let me catch up on some other comments here that we had some folks kind of share with us. Looks like Andre was slept on pine needles, softest bed you slept on. I hope you enjoyed it, Andre. I can't say I'd want to have that. Jackie, we have experienced that at Ala Moana. Jackie, what's that? I'm a little bit kind of my context a little bit off. What was that you experienced at Ala Moana? I'd like to know.
Ben's got an interesting question. Why is no one asking about news about new Red Hill water problems? Well, Ben, you just did. You just did. So listen, there is a story that there was a trace amount of fuel found in a well on Oahu. It's an early story, so I didn't want to report on that yet until there was some more kind of concrete news. So it's not really. That's why I didn't talk about it. I saw the story. There is some trace. It's cause for alarm. But before we get too alarmed, I kind of want to find out a little bit more about it. It was a trace amount of fuel found in a test well, not in anyone's water supply, not like it's coming out of someone's faucet or something, but a trace amount found in a test well on Oahu. Look, it's a big issue. I live on Oahu. We all want to know about that, and I will find out more. And when I do, I will let you know. But Ben, thank you for asking. You did ask, and that's what the show is all about. Ask your questions now. In fact, gang, if you got a question, pop it in now. You all are here. The live ones get the priority. I got a bunch of slides lined up and some topics for us to talk about, but your questions matter more than anyone's. Anyone who sent them in advance, if they're not here. So the folks that are here are the ones. So let's get back into our show here. Auntie Joyce, cats, if they're taking the time to count, probably 1 million positive things as people are working. Yes, people are working. And well, I guess you're a little bit over. It was 40,000, not quite. But we got that going. Okay, what else here? Adam was right up there with Dylan at 750,000. So there you have it. Don, I have friends in Na'alehu where we fed cats daily. One house, probably 20 a day. It seems to me that the more you pay cats, the more cats that you get. So that's the kind of one on that. And you pay over 2,800 for a 2-bedroom Santa Cruz. Yeah, it's probably around California prices. And that's it, Auntie Joan, isn't it? Even cats are smart enough to want to live in Hawaii. Exactly. Why? If I was a cat, this is the only place I'd want to live. Will you touch on tiny houses situation? Thought it would be the folks of today's show. Yes, so did I, Jim. So did I. Unfortunately, our tiny house guy is not here. Wasn't able to make it. And so I had to take down all the tiny house information, kind of redo the whole show. This unfortunately will not be a show about tiny houses. Sorry about that, Jim. Hope the disappointment is not too much. All right, let's move on over here, gang. First of all, if you did get here, if you got here via the newsletter, then you're on the newsletter. But if you didn't get here from the newsletter, if you didn't get some links that gave you the links to the show and access this, you want to get on that newsletter, livinginhawaii.com. Just go to the website. You'll have a pop-up, pop in your email address. You'll get on the newsletter where we will let you know about future live shows. We have photos, new videos, new content, all kinds of stuff. It's the way to kind of get in with what is going on. All right. So once again, pop in your questions so we can take them. We're going to move on. So I thought about, so today's question I thought about was this be kind of a fun discussion to have. I think it's one that we could also, there's a fair amount of you Islander Ohana alumni that are living in Hawaii right now. Jackie and Joan come to mind. There's, I'm sure, others also. I forgot your name. I'm sorry. The one from Makaha is also here. So here's the question that I'd like to kind of hear from Dylan and from Heidi and from all of you is, what is, if someone is thinking about living in Hawaii, they're on the mainland now, they're talking about it, they're thinking about it. What would you say for those of you that live here, for those of you that live, Auntie Joan, Auntie Joyce, all of you that live here, what would you say is the most important thing that you need to know about living in Hawaii? That's the question. What's the most important thing that they need to know about living in Hawaii? Let's go. Let's start with Heidi, and then we'll go with Dylan, and then I'm going to grab all your comments, and we'll kind of see what everybody says. I'm looking around all this is about. So Heidi, why don't you get started? Heidi, what would you say if you have friends, family that say, hey, I'm thinking about living in moving to Hawaii. What's your okay, this is one thing you need to know. What do you tell them, Heidi?
I think it's the cultural mindset and this idea of practicing aloha and being conscientious of other people and respectful. It's so important in the culture. Someone that moves from the mainland to Hawaii, I mean, being loud and pushy and aggressive, it really doesn't get people anywhere. I mean, there's a different way, just that I've noticed, to kind of fit in and deal with people. I mean, it also accomplished things, but it's kind of an attitude and a style. And I mean, it's really about having respect for all people. And then this idea of aloha and love and respect.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a really big thing. A culture is the big piece. Dylan, born and raised here, lived on the mainland for a little while, then came back. A long story to tell. What do you tell people?
I totally agree with Heidi. But I'll give a different answer. I think just having the perspective that living in Hawaii doesn't mean you're on vacation in Hawaii every day. I just had a good friend take his daughter to visit New York to think about going to college, right? And he thought she would hate it because it's big city and it's New York versus Honolulu, and but she loved it. And I said, well, what did you guys do during the trip? And he was like, well, we shopped and we went out at these nice restaurants and we went to all these shows and did all this stuff. And I'm like, of course she loved it because she was on vacation, right? It's very different when you're on vacation than when you actually live somewhere and you actually have to live and work and grind and you go shopping. And so I think people sometimes have a distorted mindset, like they've been here before and they spend 2 weeks going to the beach and going out to nice restaurants and just relaxing and having a good time. And that's available to you all the time. It's one of the great things about being here, but you also have to actually live and work and do stuff other than being on vacation. That's unsustainable unless you're wealthy enough to do that. But I think that's the main thing, is coming in with the right mindset of, you're actually living here. And, what Heidi said is so important that, I always say, don't come here with the expectation of making it like where you came from. There's a reason why you came here, right? It's because you wanted something different. And there's nothing that doesn't fit in quicker here than people who, say, well, back where I came from, it's like this, or, back, the way we do it where I came from, it's like nobody cares. And that's, the wrong attitude. And that's usually when you hear people talk like that, they'll be gone in 12 months or so. So it's all about accepting. And I've said this before, right? There's so many great things about Hawaii, but it's not perfect. And there's things that will annoy you that you won't like and that we all have our gripes with, but you got to take those with the good, right? You got to take the bad with the good and focus on the good.
I think that's a great perspective, and I'm glad that you shared that about it's not the Hawaii that you experienced in the vacation is not the Hawaii that you're going to be experienced if you live here, and that's very well said. In fact, we have something in the Islander Ohana program that we go through. It's called the Unvacation, and there's a whole program that we kind of talk about on Unvacation. And I want to thank Judy. Thanks, Judy, so much. You're such a gem. If you're interested in learning everything Hawaii from an Islander who has lived there for years, join the Islander Ohana. It's the best. Thank you, Judy. I'm gonna pop a link. We have I'm working on some. There's a link I just popped in the description that talks about the program in detail. I'm working on an additional part of the program. We're going to be releasing. Going to have a cohort coming up sometime soon. I'm working on it right now. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to launch the next cohort, but we are going to do it, and it's going to have some more stuff to it. So yeah, to add on. First of all, I completely agree with everything that the two of you said. Of course, I think the culture is. So coming from the mainland, both Heidi and I, if you come from the mainland, for sure, it's a big, huge cultural change. To Dylan's point is, you're going to have, there's a reason why you moved here. All these are kind of cultural angles. So if I had to add on to that, I would say one of the important things that you have to know is you're going to have to completely give up your Western value system. That basically, the Western value system is really, there is a Western value system here. We still value capitalism to a degree. We still work on the American dollar, et cetera, et cetera. But the value system is radically different. And that is a big thing that you have to know. In short, I say you have to turn Hawaiian. My favorite story on this is one of my favorite movies is Dances with Wolves, and I think it's like a Dances with Wolves story. It's so Kevin Costner comes in, right? He's this army rank. He's an army an army guy, comes in, and you all know the story. And at the end of the story, he becomes Indian, right? He completely embraces. He no longer speaks English. He speaks Indian. He speaks whatever the Indian language is at the end. That's kind of what you have to do. You have to kind of become. You have to turn Indian. You have to turn Hawaiian to really make it work in Hawaii. Uncle Jim's got a quick answer. Very expensive. Yeah, that you have to know that too. There's no doubt about that. Very expensive. But even those with just because you've got the money, it won't work if you don't do what Auntie Joyce says, which is you need to embrace the traditions, people, culture, and respect of others. Yeah, exactly. What we've all been kind of saying here. Patrick says, I tell everyone that living in Hawaii is very different than visiting as a tourist. That's exactly what Dylan said. They need to do their research and maybe try a short-term rental. That's part of what we talk about actually in the Islander Ohana on Vacation. Auntie Joyce lived in New York City for 23 years. Dylan is right. It's a totally different perspective. Yeah, that is exactly it. Let's see. And let's see. Don's got a friend who moved to the Bahamas, stayed a year because she felt like it was the USA in the 1950s and could not maintain that. See, now, yeah, it depends kind of what 1950s were. It depends what kind of 1950s we're talking about, right? If we're talking about 1950s automobiles, yeah, no, thank you. I have no idea to drive in a 1950 anything. But I can feel nostalgic about the 1950s as a time period. Heather, people love to talk and get to know you, which is what I'm all about. People are much more friendly, kind, and respectful, and a larger percentage of your income will be spent on housing. Great points, Heather. Those are little secrets that you get to learn, right? Heather's also an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Little secrets that about the friendly. And Heather, I would say that the reason why you are able to say that people are friendly is because you're friendly first. That's why people are friendly to you. Hawaii is a place that reflects who you are. Mark, another Islander Ohana member, joining the Islander Ohana group was the best decision we made in our move here, worth every penny. Thanks, Mark. That's what it's all about, man. That's what it is all about. Thank you, Don. Lakota was the language that Kevin Costner was speaking about. All right, let's see. We got a question over here that came in from Jen. I saw on the news yesterday that Miloli'i on the Big Island has officially become Hawaii's second community-based subsistence fishing area. Any idea on what that means for the community? Is this a conversation effort? I think you mean a conservation effort. Welcome back, Jen. Cool view of Stonehenge behind you there. Dylan, can you give us an update on Miloli'i? What's anything you want to share about that?
You know, I probably should know the specifics about this. I know that's something that they were working on. I don't know what the details are. The thing about fishing in Hawaii is, you know, it's another unique thing about Hawaii, and I just I didn't realize it, but I'm thankful for it after going to Alaska, where, you know, every time we stopped and we wanted to fish, we had to like fill out a bunch of paperwork and pay $15 for a fishing license. And in Hawaii, interestingly enough, you know, there's no requirements like that, whether you're from here or not. And that's really rooted in the culture of native gathering rights. And so in places like Miloli'i, which is a traditional fishing village in the south part of the island, I've sold a lot of property there. Some of the best fishing grounds are right off, because it's a very deep, you know, right offshore. It gets very deep quickly, and you can get deep sea fish like ahi and ono and mahi mahi right off the shoreline there. There's, I mean, sustainability and the ability for people and residents and even non-residents to fish is something that's really protected here. And there's, again, going back to the culture of sustainability, you know, most people understand that you just don't overfish, and you're respectful. You know, whatever you take, you eat. That's a very very foundational value here. But yeah, I don't know exactly what the specifics of this community basis, you know, sustainable fishing area is, but Miloli'i is one of the best fishing grounds on the island. My father-in-law basically raised his family catching fish in those fishing grounds for 30 years. So
I know there was, I think it seemed, you know, I don't know the story, but my general guess is that it just kind of made it official, sort of legally official, what Miloli'i has always been, right? Miloli'i has always been a fishing subsistence kind of place. It's like, I think if it's the last traditional fishing village, if I'm not mistaken, in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken.
It's very isolated, right? I mean, I think it's a great place. I have friends. It's funny because people ask, do you like Miloli? Should I buy property there? And I always tell them, you need to go down there and spend a week and see if you like it, because it's very isolated. It's 15 minutes off the highway, down a windy road. It's in, right on a old lava field. But you can get a great house there for, under 500,000, and you're literally a short walk to the water. You can get oceanfront property there for under $1 million, So it's very unique, very cool place. And it's funny because I got several clients that have vacation rentals there, and they do really well. I mean, they're booked like year round when you have a vacation rental there, because there is a market for that, right? There's people who want to be in an area like that versus a fancy resort or high-end neighborhood and stuff like that. So yeah,
nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there, but would love to kind of have a vacation there, right? If you get the ultimate getaway, right? Yeah, very true. Excellent. Yeah, thanks for the question. Terrific. Let's see. Don has a question here. Let me pull this. Oh yeah, here we go. So Don says, hey, can you talk humidity and how it can affect possessions? I have a photographer friend who puts gear in a special cabinet, and a friend in Ocean View that said humidity kept attacking his car speakers. Dylan, you just posted a video, if I'm not mistaken, on your own YouTube channel that talked about, that circled back on the topic we've had here earlier, which is, why you don't want to kind of live near the ocean. So you've got that, but humidity, I don't know about humidity. I don't humidity per se, because Hawaii's not a human kind of a place, but I think there's a lot of moisture. Like I know we had some friends, Dylan, that lived in some of the wetter areas on the Big Island, and they dealt with mold like all the time. You want to speak that a little bit? Here, how about this? Let's talk it to Heidi first. Heidi, anything that you know about sort of the wet areas, like if in Hana or oceanfront areas, what should Don know and or people know about that as it relates to electronics or sensitive equipment, et cetera? Anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, great question, and something to be aware of. There's all these different microclimates on Maui, and there are some areas of Maui, especially in areas of Haiku out in Hana, where it rains a lot. It's a very jungle type environment, and mold is definitely an issue there. If you have leather, I mean, it's going to mold. Everything molds out there. I mean, it's just something that you have to be aware of, and I guess learn to live with, or figure out how to live with it. And you can see when you're driving by in some areas, there'll be an old car that was just an abandoned car out in the woods, completely covered in mold and overtaken by mold. Obviously, this is something that's been there for years, but that was pretty fascinating to me, because I had never seen something like that before. And then living near the ocean in general, know that, I mean, things rust faster. I mean, appliances, any metal you have outside, grills, AC units, all are gonna have more wear and tear quicker just from the exposure to the salt air all the time.
Yeah, excellent. Dylan, what's the, I know similar conditions, of course, on the weather is kind of similar. There's similar wet and dry places. What do you tell people to kind of look out for on the Big Island?
Me personally, I've never had an issue. I mean, I live in Kona, so it's not super wet, but it's definitely it rains enough, right? You don't ever need irrigation or anything like that. But definitely on the east side of the island, it rains a lot, and there's people who do dehumidifiers in their closets and in the rooms that they want to keep things dry in. But humidity, I've never heard as being an issue, especially with like car speakers. That's an interesting take. I don't know how it would affect car speakers, but yeah, if you have really sensitive electronic equipment, I mean, people will take special precautions, like putting them in a cabinet with a dehumidifier or something like that. But it's not something that's like widespread that everybody does. I mean, it's I think very specialized people who have specialized equipment or valuable, unique electronics or something do that. But the vast majority of us don't do anything special. I think I think the thing that's important is to keeping your windows open, right? A lot of people move here from the mainland and think you gotta have your windows closed all the time. But like, we literally have windows that have never ever been closed. They're like stuck open because you don't ever close. And that keeps airflow moving in and out of the house. And I think that really helps, with mold issues and stuff, is making sure you do have the ability for air to move through your home.
Yeah, I think there's a huge part of it is as Heidi said, is the microclimates. Where are you actually hanging? We live. I think I'd say about a 5-minute walk away from the ocean, about a 5-minute walk. And I've had electronics. I'm in the tech business. My whole life. I've never had anything, never seen anything kind of strangely decaying faster or slower than I normally think it would. Us too, Dylan, we have our windows open as much as we possibly can, unless I'm doing like the show right now where I got my windows closed and the AC is on. But we got our window. However, I do know friends that lived on the North Shore, for example, where the waves break much bigger. Like here, I'm 5 minutes away from a beach, but the beach is not like a turbulent surf heavy where there's a sea mist in the air all the time. On the North Shore, for example, where you got big waves hitting, there's almost always a sea mist in the air. You drive your car, it'll be covered with like a salt water in no time. That's a different story. So it really depends, Don. Really, really depends on where exactly you're going, right, Dylan? If you're in some really wet place, you're going to have moisture issues. Never a humidity in terms of a climactic humidity. Hawaii does not have a humidity issue. The trade winds are always kind of blowing, so you don't get that. So hope that answers your question, Don. Let's see. I think we got a few other ones over here that are worth. I got a few other questions over here that are that I need to get in. Let's see. Joan, Heidi and Dylan covered everything I was going to say. Peter really prepares you for this in the Islander Ohana. You might have to prepare to downsize, but it's worth it. That's I tell people, get rid of it. I mean, Dylan's got a good point too. Is like, or have the 20-foot container and stuff it all. Ron says, be comfortable living on a hot log in a salvage yard. Ron, maybe it depends. That's a little bit on the dramatic side, I suppose. But there you go. Don says, I watched a video from a couple in the Puna district who talked about the 10 things you can't have in Hawaii. Not a district for me. That was lava flow. They did discuss crime factors. There's nothing like having a video from someone who lives there. They're going to give you the direct sort of micro perspective. I once lived in the Puna district as well, and I'm no longer living in the Puna district. It wasn't right for me, but there are a lot of people who swear. Dylan, there's got to be a bunch of people who swear by the Puna district, right?
Oh, it's the fastest growing area on the island. So, people vote with their feet, right? And so, there's more people moving there than anywhere else.
And there you go. There you go. Daryl. Hey, Daryl, welcome back. Daryl, long time no see, buddy. Daryl is an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Related to humidity, any clients with pianos who were able to keep them? I've been told to ensure that you have an internal cover over the strings, but not sure about elevation if that wanes as you get higher. Any piano knowledge?
I do. I've had clients in the past that had a grand piano or a really high end piano, and they always had it in a climate controlled room. So they would have a room in their house that would have AC and control the humidity and stuff. But I think in that sense, that's something you probably would want to prepare for.
All right, get that piano kind of squared away. Daryl, hope that answers your question. The speakers. Don says it rots the foam surrounds. So the foam and rubber from speakers, that naturally decays anyway. I had some speakers for like 20 years and they were like completely gone. I had to replace them, but there could be certainly. Here, Don, look, here's the bottom line. If you live close to the ocean, really close, and there's like sea spray kind of in the air and churn, it's going to kill everything. It's going to rust through everything. It's going to decay rubber. It's going to decay metal, and it's going to kill your electronics. Dylan, what was the biggest thing that you mentioned in your video about don't live near the ocean?
Well, it was electronics. It was maintenance of everything, and then insurance is a big one, right? If you're in a tsunami inundation zone, then you're going to need flood insurance, which is considerably more expensive. And so here's my life hack with vehicles in Hawaii is don't ever own one over 5 years old. That's my life hack is you run into maintenance issues, beyond 5 years. And so it's like, I've always just tried to just never have a car that's over 5 years old. So then you don't worry about the foam decaying or any of that stuff. So
You're breaking my heart, man. You're breaking my heart.
You like old cars? I don't like old cars.
Well, I don't like old, but I mean, I got an incredible, awesome classic car, the one I do all the videos with,
Mhm.
and I have resolved to, that is going to be the last car I'm going to have. I'm going to keep that car forever. And you're breaking my heart, making me
I'm the
think
kind of person that I do zero mechanics. I don't even change my own oil. So like I got no interest in having to do vehicle maintenance at any level. So
Oh, neither do I. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. I don't want to do vehicle. I'm not going to do vehicle maintenance. I just found the car that's perfect for me that I love, and I want to keep it forever. That's all. Hey, Heidi, can you share anything about that? What do you know about Seabury Hall or school on Maui for Don?
Yeah, Seabury Hall, it's a private school upcountry. I mean, it's considered one of the best schools on Maui. And yeah, a lot of people try to go there. I wasn't sure what the specific question was, but yeah, it's a great private school.
There you go. Great private school. And thanks, Don. Jeff says, hey, wouldn't a new property built and designed new construction control for mold? No, no. The laws of physics and biology. Building science has improved greatly in the past years. Yes, it certainly has, but there are certain things that mold ain't gonna matter. Ain't gonna matter about mold. You're still gonna kind of catch it. There may be some materials that are better, but I don't. Frankly, Jeff, my experience has been is that the old homes in Hawaii were built with more better materials than the new homes are. One classic example is the home that we live in was built with redwood, and redwood is termite resistant. You build a new home with new materials with all that pine, termites rip right through it. The old homes from the 50s, they're still standing because they were built with built in the old days. So yeah, Jen, that's it. Not to put the salt in the air. So maybe not humidity, but salt in the air. Heard folks, just appliances don't last as long as on the mainland. Again, if you're in a salty area, not all places are salty air. Like where Dylan lives, he lives up in the mountains in the Kona area. It's mild. There's not a lot of wind flying around. He's not going to catch the salt there. I'm a 5-minute walk from the ocean, but the part of the ocean where we're near is not really churny. However, if you live, for example, on the windward side where all the air is blowing onshore from the ocean and there's a lot of churn going on, that salt air is everywhere. You know, when I take my car and I go to Makapu, you all know that, right? Some days when the surf is up, I come back and there's like a salt spray all over the whole car. I got to wash it down. Other days it's not. So that is the issue. Jackie says, I keep my windows open all the time. Exactly, right? Trade winds are my friends. I work at the University of Hawaii and we have electronic equipment that is over 10 years old and still working fine. Thank you, Jackie. This is what I love about the network here. You all can contribute and it makes this a very engaging. Thank you, Jackie. Jackie works in the IT department. Electronics is their thing. And it's, there's some old stuff there, old mainframes, etc. They've been there for a while. Don's got a 30-year-old truck and car's 20. The old time guys. You can have those. There's a few. A Drive Electric. Yeah, he's got a Model 3. He's got a Model 3, right, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm gonna replace it after 3 years.
There you go.
I don't have any insurance.
Model 3 for sale 3 years from today. Auntie Joyce loves my 2013 Mercedes, but it helps keeping in my garage. There's a lot of people have, covered garages, closed garages. Do you know Jimi Hendrix? Heidi, do you know Jimi Hendrix played there in 1970? I think that was before Heidi's time, if I'm not mistaken. But Heidi, are you aware that Jimi Hendrix played in Maui in 1970? That's a little trivia question right there.
I do. I think that was in Rainbow Park, and I've been by that place. I was not there in 1970, but yeah, no, that is super cool.
Yeah, very super cool. All right, gang. Let's transition on. Great questions. If I think I tried to catch everybody. If I missed anyone's questions, make sure you let me know. Let's move on to diamonds and deals. We've got our favorite properties that Dylan and Heidi and if Scott, if he was here, have picked out for you that we like to kind of share and talk about. So let's get down to our first one here. Here we go. This is upcountry Maui. Looks like new construction. Hopefully mold-proof construction. Hoku'ula New Construction, upcountry Maui. Tell us all about it, Heidi. That's an amazing living room space, kitchen, something.
Yeah, so this is something rare, which is new construction on Maui. This is a project, approximately 200 homes. They're single family, 4-bedroom homes. You have an option to add an ohana, which would be a separate dwelling, a separate cottage. and they've immediately sold out the first phase. There are some homes available in the second phase right now. Deliveries around 2023 to 2024. So it's some time out, but this is one of those projects that's pretty much going to sell word of mouth. You won't see it advertised a lot because there is just such demand for this type of product. So you're hearing about it here on Aloha Friday. If you're interested, let me know and I can give you instructions on how to get on the registration list. What I've seen recently, the prices are around 1.3 to 1.7. And I mean, this is new construction, single family home with a view. You're close to the airport, close to beaches. I mean, it's a really, really great location on Maui upcountry.
I love that. I'm so glad you included that picture with the view. I mean, could you imagine, can you imagine, Heidi, having your cup of coffee made by someone who loves you and waking up in the morning and looking out that view as you sip that coffee and look at that ocean, those mountain and ocean views, and a modern house? It sure is. Dylan, as a guy that gets rid of his cars after 5 years, what about the house? You gotta keep that house up to date, man. New homes are nice about that.
Houses are less maintenance than a car. So
yeah, cars are a bit more mechanical, and if you're not into doing home construction, if you're not into doing a car maintenance or bringing it into the shop, it's nice to have a new one every 5 years. That's for sure. Excellent. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's see what Dylan's got for us. Dylan, what is this? Is a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath Kona Vistas.
Yeah, Kona Vistas is one of the. It's still a high-end neighborhood, but it was like the really high-end neighborhood 20 years ago. It was like the first like high-end neighborhood. And so there's been new ones built since then, but beautiful area just south of Kailua Kona, 5 minutes from the beach. This is a nice, large 2,000 square foot home, upgraded, just beautiful neighborhood, beautiful area. I just think this would have sold 6 months ago in a day. And, this is one of those opportunities where you can get in for, 1.2, 1.3 million and have a very nice home in a very nice neighborhood, very good location. And just great opportunity. So and there's a lot like this now. I mean, I was looking on the market. I'm like, man, that one, if you're in that like 1 to 1.5 range, there's so much good stuff on the market right now. It's still pretty tight, below 800,000 because that price point is always in high demand. But yeah, if you're around a million, $1.5 million, there's a really lot of nice selection right now.
Yeah, and well, look, and that $1 to $1.5 million, that's in Heidi's range too. Heidi was like 1.3 to 1.7. Brand new construction on Maui, which kind of tough to beat. Rare new construction anywhere is really hard because Hawaii's so restricted.
And funny with the market dynamics, right? I mean, we talked about a few months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, how there was some stuff like 700 to $1 million. There was inventory, and then there was inventory like above 1.6, 1.7. There was stuff in the $2 million range, but there wasn't a lot of stuff in that low 1 millions range. And now it's kind of shifted where that's kind of where the bulk of the inventory is at right now. So always funny how the market does that.
Yeah, interesting dynamics. It's always that's why markets are what they are. They're rather unpredictable animals, and you just kind of have to follow them and kind of flow with them and know what the situation is.
And my take on that, right, the analysis on that is, when you're in this type of economy, if you're a $2 million buyer, you're probably still going to spend the money, because if you have $2 million to spend, I mean, the economy matters, but you probably have more wealth than it's going to stop you from buying in that range. And the sub 1 million buyer is always going to be here, right? I mean, the regular family, the normal person, I mean, that's the price range. That $700,000-$800,000 buyer is always going to be here. But it seems like that 1 to 1.6, 1.7 buyer is that, they've done well, but they're a little bit more apprehensive right now because of what's going on in the economy. They're not sure, maybe they're waiting to sell and then buy here. It's a different demographic. It's a specific demographic that buys in that range. And we're seeing that. I think that's the buyer that is the most apprehensive, sitting on the fence right now. So again, it's your opportunity.
There is a window. There is a window. And who knows what effect the Japanese buyers, if any, are going to have. But there's got to be some bottled up demand from those Japanese folks that were always buying property, and now they haven't been able to buy property for 2 years. So there's going to be some now, and maybe it's just going to be affected on Oahu. I don't know, but there's going to be something there. But speaking of markets and prices, looks like we're going to get into a bidding war. Dylan, put that Model 3 on eBay because Auntie Joyce says, "Hey, can Chris and I get to the top of your wait list to take one of those 3-year-old cars off your hands?" But not so fast, Auntie Joyce, because Kev is right there. Joyce, we're going to be competing for his used car, so I could see a bananas bidding war for Dylan Nonaka's gently used cars.
Elon's not going to let you have it. He wants all his cars back after 3 years to turn them into self-driving taxis, right? So.
Oh yeah, that's so. Is your Model 3 on a lease or did
Yeah,
you
it's a lease. Yeah, that's the newest best thing I've discovered in life is leases. So great tax benefits, and you definitely don't have to keep the car longer than 3 years. So
hey, look, I too would recommend a lease for a guy that wants to keep his cars for no longer than 3 to 5 years or whatever. Absolutely, excellent. I'm more of a long-term guy for some reason. I just don't know what it is. I keep my cars for as long as I can. My rule of thumb is it's got to have 100,000 miles on it before I'll sell it. 100,000 miles, 10 years or 100,000 miles, which is unfortunate because it has limited. I've only had 3 cars in my life, 3 or 4 cars, and that's been about it. Wish I would have had more. All right, I think we got everyone's questions. I think we're all set. I think we're gonna kind of roll into our closing thoughts. Try to kind of get. That's kind of a fun part where we kind of share our closes on it. So why don't we start with your Dylan? What is it, and why is it important to you?
Well, this one, I think I think of this show. I think of this community and this ohana and just for context, so everybody knows, I do a call at 5 a.m. every morning with my team, and we just do motivational stuff, positive thought, motivational quotes. So I see a lot of these every day, and it's just something I really like. And sometimes something will hit me, and I'll be like, I got to use this on the Friday show. And I just think about this community when you're here to learn. You're here to learn like you're going to live forever, but you got to live like you're going to die tomorrow. And that's kind of what we're doing, right? Is we're learning about how we want to live. And I just think it's a great perspective in life. Is learn like you need knowledge forever, but you got to live like you're going to die tomorrow. Don't take any days for granted.
That's an excellent balance between what I call long-term and short-term thinking, and you got to have both. You got to have long-term thinking, so the learning, and you got to have short-term thinking, which is you have to enjoy the day, right? Because I'm sure we're all old enough where we've had friends who have passed, friends that we've known that are younger than us who have passed, and we're sad to see them go. And it reminds us that make it count, make it count. Heidi, what's your closing thought for today?
My closing thought, this is actually a Tom Petty quote: "You belong somewhere where you feel free." And there's a couple things you can do in Hawaii that you couldn't do on the mainland where I lived previously. Hitchhiking and riding in the back of a pickup truck down the road, just sitting in the back of a pickup truck. You can't do those things in Illinois, but you can do those in Hawaii. So you belong somewhere you feel free.
Now that's a good one, Heidi. I would have never thought that. I didn't know the laws, but you had mentioned that you grew up in rural Illinois. I didn't think that riding in the back of a pickup truck would be something that you would not have experienced in rural Illinois. So that's a good one. That is a good one. In the back of a pickup truck. All right, gang. So mine, my usual thing, my favorite book, Proverbs. I read. Highly recommend. Whether you're religious or not is irrelevant. The wisdom in the book of Proverbs is unbelievable. Proverbs is great. There's a chapter in Proverbs for every day of the month, so it's easy. Just open up, and there's like Bible apps. Open up, read Proverbs for whatever day of the month it is, and you'll guarantee it's going to blow you away. Mine for today is 22. Those who are generous are blessed, for they share their bread with the poor. It's kind of a weird thing these days because we've all got these homeless situations, and it makes us feel awkward. It's actually a horrible situation that we have to kind of deal with. Horrible in terms of you have these people on the street who really, really need help, and they're clearly not getting help, and they're forced to live in sad conditions. But to be generous. I think that the main thing here is to be generous. Sharing with the poor is, of course, a big part of it, but generosity, I believe, is the key. That's my key takeaway here. When you're generous, what does generosity really do? Generosity is your way of saying that there is abundance, right? That's what it means to me to be generous. Sharing means that there's plenty. Abundance means you have abundance through your life. Abundance flows to you, flows from you, and that's what it's all about. All right. We got some additional closing thoughts here from Virginia. You belong somewhere you feel free. That's it. You belong to somewhere you feel free. That must be the quote, right? Kev's happy. Tell Scott he's got to tell Scott he's got to earn his way back. Love y'all. Thanks for the videos. Hey man, you're all about that. That's what it's all about here. And the best dreams happen when you're awake. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. Kev's got a closing thought here. The cure for anything is salt water, sweat, tears, or the sea. Excellent. This is great. All right. Don, we'll connect with you. We'll connect you with Dylan. Let's say goodbye, everybody. Let's start with Heidi and then Dylan, and then we'll wrap it up. Say goodbye.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Have an awesome weekend. Good seeing you guys.
Yeah. Have a fantastic weekend. Wherever you live, that's where you are. Have a great one. Aloha.